Hey there, it's Cassie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm a little late with this one, but this is the Simon Says Stamp December 2019 card kit called Gnome for the Holidays, and this is obviously sold out, but I will have things listed down below as I can find them. So let's go ahead and take a look at what did come in this kit. It's, of course, chock full. It's a great value for all the different things that you get. Little coupon code. You're also going to get some Simon Says Stamp envelopes in the colors Slate, Schoolhouse Red, and White. And I love that they are self-adhesive. You are also going to get 12 Photoplay Kringle & Company 6x6 paper pad, and a lot of beautiful patterns in there, and I love the color combo of like white and gray and red. It's really pretty. A lot of choices in there. You wouldn't have to do Christmas. You're also going to get the awesome Lil Gnome Wafter Die. He's super popular right now. You get 3 mini action wobblers, which I forgot to use. You also get a sheet of the Cardabella Light Silver Shimmer 6x6 cardstock, along with the Christmas Gnome Home Stencil, and the Simon Says Stamp 6x Gnome for the Holiday stamp set. I also forgot that you have the blending brush. I was comparing it to my Vivos Beauty brush, and it's pretty nice. But there is the 6x8 stamp set you're going to get. A lot of cute little sentiments and those 3 adorable little gnomes. You could just make some regular, like, thank you cards with these gnomes. They wouldn't have to be Christmas, so that's cool. You also get the ideas sheet, and then you get some cardstock. You get 120-pound white, 100-pound black, and 100-pound schoolhouse red. Okay, so let's get started with our first card. I had already colored and cut out all the little gnomes. I had stamped them twice and colored them with my Arteza Everblend markers and then cut them out. I did it while I was watching TV. It's just a great way to get a bunch of images colored up if you want to, and then have stuff pre-ready and made so that you can get started on your cards. I'm cutting down some of the pattern paper that came in the kit and just using my guillotine trimmer, the Tim Holtz one. And then I'm going to use some of that red cardstock that came in the kit to make my card. I will put it into my score buddy and score it at 4 1/4 inches. And then that will make it a top folding A2 size card. And then I'm going to take the little trees, and I'm actually going to stamp those with some Distress ink. Now, Distress ink is not typically formulated for stamping, but because I'm doing this on a background, I don't really care that those aren't stamped perfectly because they're just in the background. And that's the Hickory Smoke's Hickory Smoke ink that I am using. And I'm just using the 2 little trees that are in the kit. I love those little trees. I'll adhere down my pattern paper to the front of my cardstock. And it is a little bit longer on that side, but that's okay. That way I can get a good clean cut when I'm ready. And then I just have a little strip of cardstock. I'd cut everything down. And then I'm going to kind of look at how I want everything to be positioned on my card after I cut everything, or the excess, off on the side there. For my sentiment, I actually stamped out 2 of them because I wasn't sure exactly which sentiment I wanted. So I am going to put my magic powder bag over some black cardstock, ink both of them up with some Versamark ink, stamp those down, and then I'll cover those with some Brutus Monroe Alabaster embossing powder. And then I'm going to heat set that till those are smooth and melted. And that magic powder bag just comes in so clutch when you're trying to emboss with white embossing powder, because you won't get any embossing powder where you don't want it. And then I'll trim those down, and once I've decided which one I want to use, I'll put a little foam tape behind it, and then I'll adhere that to the front of my card. And then I'm going to put some foam tape on the back of my gnome and the presents. And I'll peel off all the backing paper on those little gnomes. And I know that I'm posting this like 2 days before Christmas, but hey, that's for some of these last minute Christmas cards you might need to make. Or, you could always turn these into thank you cards as well. But, just to have some ideas, it's never a bad idea to have extra ideas. I'm a little behind on this one for sure. I'll trim off all the excess. And then on the inside, I decide I want to put another one of those little gnomes in there because I had so many of them all colored up. So I'm using the Avery Elle glue, and I'll just put him down with some of that glue. And then I'm going to stamp out another sentiment on the inside. Thought about putting a present since I had so many. But I'm going to ink up the Christmas sentiment using some VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. This stuff stamps out so crisply. I love it. And then I will stamp out the sentiment that goes on top of it as well. which I can't remember at this point what it says, and I can't really read that. So, wishing you a very Merry Christmas. That's a perfect one. And so that's going to finish off our first card. So there you go. First card ready to go. I think card number 2 was my favorite, and it didn't end up actually being a Christmas card, which is kind of cool too, so we can use it for something else. But I took some black cardstock, and this is actually a card base as well. And I'm going to just take a little bit of washi tape, and I'm going to roll that up so that I can keep my card base and everything just down where I need it. And then this that I have here is called a Simple Blend. If you've watched my videos before, you've seen me use it. But this is a Simple Blend from Brutus Monroe, and I love them. They have so many in their store. And so I'll have this linked down below along with all the other products that I've used. But I am using some Candied Apple Distress Oxide ink, and I am sponging that on with the brush that came in the kit. I don't know if it's a Picket Fences brush or if that's one from Simon Says Stamp or whatever, but it actually works really, really nicely. I don't know how it compares in price to the Vivos ones that I have, but I still love those. I'm not getting rid of those. They were just cheap enough. I did take the little gnome and I cut him out of several different kinds of paper so that I could make several different kinds of gnomes if I wanted to. I end up making just a couple here, but I have all these extra pieces, and I am going to glue those down with that Avery Elle glue that I was using once before. And just all the little pieces that I have, which is, these gnomes are so fun. They're so popular right now. A bunch of different companies have little gnome stamps, which is awesome. Just got a new one in the mail today. Can't wait to use it. Can't wait to ink it up. But what I'm doing right now is just taking that same brush, and I am just sponging on some hickory smoke ink right over his little beard so that there is some differentiation between his beard and the backdrop, because I used a little gray backdrop. And then I am going to adhere his little body, just poking out the little holes, and I'll use that same glue to adhere that down. These are so quick to come together. Another thing you could do is run this through your Xyron sticker maker and make it all stickers if you wanted. That would be an easy way to adhere everything as well. I think these would fit beautifully through the little Xyron X, the small one. And then I'll color up his little nose. I'm using just a couple Copic markers. I think this is E50 and E4, I can't remember, might be 42. And then I'm going to just use a little glue in the nose and stick that down with my crystal katana. And then he's ready to be adhered to the front there pretty soon. I decide I want to stamp some snowflakes on there because there are so many really cool snowflakes in this stamp set. But before I do that, I want to cover my circle with some embossing powder to see how dry that is. And I'm glad I checked because a lot of embossing powder stuck. So I'm covering the back of that with my magic powder bag, and then I'll wipe the excess powder away with my Nouveau brush, and then I'll pull out my Versamark ink and several of those different snowflakes, and I'm just going to stamp those all over that background. I thought that would be really fun, and they would really pop on that black and red background. And the Candied Apple definitely kind of dried back a little bit, but that's because these are Distress Oxides. But I do like how the Distress Oxides look on dark cardstock. So then I'll just stamp a few little tiny stars or snowflakes around. And then I'll cover that with that Alabaster embossing powder by Brutus Monroe. And then I will heat set those till those are smooth and melted. It does warp my paper just a little bit, but that's not really a big deal. It'll flatten itself out once it goes into an envelope and goes through the mail, so no biggie. And then I'm going to stamp the sentiment on some of the red pattern paper that was in the kit. And I'm going to ink that up with the Versamark ink and cover that with the Alabaster embossing powder. And that one says, I love you. Wait, what does that one say? Golly, I can't remember. Well, once it's flipped over, we'll see. It says, I love you no matter what. There it is. There it was. I knew there was a gnome pun in there. I'll cut off the excess after I put foam tape all over the back of everything and attach that to the front. And then I'll peel off the release paper on my gnome and stick him down, but I'm not going to stop there. I am going to make one more little gnome, and I have a piece of white cardstock that I have trimmed down to about 4 inches by 5 1/4, so it'll fit very nicely inside the card. And then I'm going to stamp out another little sentiment that says, gnome pun intended. And then this will get glued to the inside of my card. And I think this one is my favorite. Probably because it has that cute little gnome. Although I love the little gnome stamps. This is a winner kit, I'm telling you. Total winner. So this one could be used for even Valentine's Day, I think. That would be fun. And there he is in all of his little gnome glory, card number 2. Because I had colored so many of those images ahead of time, card number 3 came together so quickly. I just cut down some scraps of the card or the pattern paper that came in the kit, and I had cut down the red cardstock to be about 4 inches by 5 1/4, so it's going to fit nicely on an A2 size card with a little bit of a border. I stamped the sentiment in Versamark ink, and once again heat set that till that is smooth and melted. And I am throwing all caution to the wind here. I am cutting these to be flag banners, but I didn't cut into the center. I am eyeballing it, and surprisingly it's actually working out. I think the plaid pattern itself on those 2 pieces is what really helped me cut those straight. So that worked out. It doesn't always. I'm going to put a little bit of foam tape on the back of my sentiment, and then I will peel off that release paper and I'll stick that one down. I wanted the sentiment to be popped up nicely. And then the other 2 pieces that I've cut down, I'm just going to glue those right onto there because I plan to put a little bit of foam tape on my little tree gnome, which is the cutest little image. I'm sorry that on occasion this video has a tendency to, it kind of blurs in and out. I don't know why it's doing that. I don't know if it's because I have too many things on my desk. I'm not working with any glitter, so that can't be it, but I have noticed it. I'm not sure why it's doing it, so I do apologize. All right, I did put foam tape on the back of my present and on the back of my little tree gnome, and I covered him very generously with foam tape because I didn't want any of him to pop up. And then I've got him standing on the one leg. And then I'm going to take some of the little holly berries that I had cut and colored, and I'll put several of those on the front. So I'll put 3 of those on the front. So 2 up there and then 1 down below to kind of bring your eye from top down. And then at this point the little banners are dry, so I'm going to trim off all of that excess with my scissors. And then I'll grab a card base. This is the Not Your Mama's cardstock. Or it might actually be the Simon Says stamp. I'm so used to using the Not Your Mama's, but they're both 120 pounds, so they are both a very heavyweight cardstock. I have inked up my sentiment with the Candied apple, and so it'll say wishing you a very happy Christmas on the inside. And I do take 2 more of those little holly berries, and I'm going to put one on the upper left corner and then the bottom right corner of my sentiment. And I thought that was really cute because then it'll tie it to the front pretty well. And then I'll use that same glue to adhere my card panel to my card base. Like I said, this one was a very quick card. When you have everything just colored and cut out, you are ready to start making some cards. Our 4th and final card is another easy one because I just trimmed down a little bit of pattern paper and I decided to use all the little bits that I had colored and cut out. So I am adhering one of the pieces of pattern paper, the one that just has the little black dots over the white background, and I adhered that to the little gnome cardstock or pattern paper. I had a sentiment once again cut out and ready to go, so I put a little foam tape behind him. For the rest of the little gnomes, I used that same liquid glue to adhere them down, and if I'd been thinking, I would have put the tree on the little action wobbler. I cannot believe I forgot to use the action wobblers. You all know I love action wobblers, so you'll definitely see those on something in the future, but there they are, all glued down to the front. I thought about putting some foam tape on the back of them, but I just thought that this would make a fine card. So I'll adhere that to a Schoolhouse Red card base. And it does have a little bit of a border all the way around it. And then on the inside, I'll take those leftover pieces and I'll adhere those down with that same liquid glue. I don't put another sentiment in there. I figured with all the little packages and the little holly, that was plenty on the inside. And then that leaves plenty of room for me to write a message on the inside. So that finishes off card number 4. So let's go ahead and take a look at all the cards that I made. I do have a bonus card. I did show that first, but I don't really have how I made it. I didn't take a picture of it, but it uses the stencil. So there's card number 1, there's card number 2, and card number 3 and 4, along with that bonus card. I would love to know which one of these was your favorite. Leave that in the comment section down below. If you liked this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And thank y'all so much for stopping by. I will see you very soon in the next video.